My wife accused me of being cheap for planning a romantic getaway instead of buying her an expensive purse. When I tried to explain our finances, she gave me an ultimatum that ended our marriage. I, 32M, have been married to Rebecca, 30F, for 5 years. We met in college during our sophomore year when we were paired up for a group project in our economics class. I was immediately drawn to her intelligence and wit, and we quickly became friends. Over time, our friendship blossomed into romance, and we dated for 3 years before getting married. Rebecca grew up in an affluent suburb with her parents and younger sister. Her father is a successful corporate lawyer, and her mother owns a high-end boutique. They never struggled financially and were able to provide Rebecca and her sister with the best of everything: private schools, luxurious vacations, and designer clothes. This upbringing shaped Rebecca's expectations and desires in life. My background is quite different. I grew up in a working-class neighborhood with my parents and 2 older brothers. My dad worked as a mechanic and my mom was a part-time teacher's aide. We never went hungry, but money was always tight. I learned to appreciate the value of a dollar from a young age and developed a habit of careful budgeting and saving. These differences in our upbringings never seemed to be an issue during our dating years. Rebecca was aware of my background and seemed to appreciate my work ethic and financial responsibility. In fact, she often said she admired how I managed to put myself through college with scholarships and part-time jobs. After we got married, we both landed good jobs. I work as a financial analyst, and Rebecca is a marketing executive. We make a comfortable combined income, but I've always been adamant about living below our means and saving for the future. Rebecca agreed with this in principle, but over the years I've noticed her spending habits becoming more extravagant. It started small. She'd come home with a new pair of shoes here, a designer dress there. I didn't make a big deal out of it as long as we were still meeting our savings goals. But lately her spending has been increasing, and she's been making more comments about wanting to upgrade our lifestyle. For our 5th wedding anniversary last month, I had been planning a surprise for months. I saved up to book us a romantic weekend getaway at a quaint bed and breakfast in wine country. It wasn't cheap, but I thought it would be a perfect way to celebrate our milestone and spend quality time together. About a week before our anniversary, Rebecca and I were having dinner when she brought up her friend Jessica. "You won't believe what Jessica's husband got her for their anniversary," she said, her eyes lighting up. "A Chanel handbag. Can you imagine? It's absolutely gorgeous." I nodded and tried to change the subject, but Rebecca kept going on about the bag. "It's so classy and timeless. Jessica is so lucky her husband appreciates her enough to buy her something so special." I could tell Rebecca was dropping hints, but I chose to ignore them. The bag she was talking about costs over $5,000, which is way out of our budget, especially considering the trip I had already planned. The next day, Rebecca texted me a link to the exact Chanel bag, saying, "This is what a loving husband gets his wife for their 5th anniversary. Hint, hint." I replied, reminding her that we're trying to save for a house down payment and that such an expensive gift wasn't in our budget. She got upset and accused me of never wanting to splurge on nice things for her. This led to a heated argument over text. Rebecca said I was cheap and that I didn't value her enough to get her meaningful gifts. I was hurt by her comments, especially considering the thought and effort I had put into planning our anniversary trip. For the next few days, Rebecca gave me the cold shoulder. On our actual anniversary, I tried to surprise her with the getaway plans, but she refused to go. "A cheap weekend trip isn't good enough," she said. "If you really loved me, you'd get me the bag I want." I was shocked by her reaction. I explained how much thought I had put into planning the trip and how I thought it would be a special way for us to celebrate our anniversary. But Rebecca wouldn't budge. She said she was tired of my bargain bin gifts and that she deserved better. Hurt and frustrated, I ended up canceling the trip and losing the deposit. Rebecca has been sulking ever since. She keeps making passive-aggressive comments about how other husbands spoil their wives. She's constantly showing me social media posts of her friends with their designer goods, implying that their husbands love them more than I love her. Last night, things came to a head when Rebecca threatened to move back in with her parents if I don't step up and get her the bag. "Maybe they can remind you how a wife should be treated," she said. I'm at my wit's end. I love Rebecca, but I feel like her expectations are unreasonable. We make good money, but we're not wealthy enough to casually spend $5,000 on a purse, especially when we're trying to save for our future. I've tried to explain to Rebecca that my love for her isn't measured by the price tags of the gifts I buy her. I've reminded her of all the thoughtful, meaningful gifts I've given her over the years, the scrapbook I made for our first anniversary with tickets and photos from all our dates, the cooking classes I signed us up for because she always wanted to learn to make pasta from scratch, the weekend I spent helping her plant her dream garden in our backyard. But Rebecca seems to have forgotten all of that. She's fixated on this designer bag and won't let it go. She's even started making comments about her single friends who can afford to buy themselves nice things, implying that maybe she made a mistake in marrying me. I'm starting to wonder if Rebecca and I are truly compatible. This whole situation has made me realize how different our values are when it comes to money. I grew up knowing the value of hard work and saving for the future, while Rebecca seems to prioritize immediate gratification and status symbols. Am I the asshole for refusing to get her this ridiculously expensive bag? Should I just give in to keep the peace? I don't want to lose my marriage over this, but I also don't want to encourage her materialistic behavior or compromise our financial goals. Any advice would be appreciated. Update 1. It's been about 2 weeks since my original post, and I want to thank everyone for their comments and advice. The situation with Rebecca has unfortunately only gotten worse, and I'm feeling more lost than ever. Taking the advice of many commenters, I decided to sit down with Rebecca and have an honest, open conversation about our finances and expectations. Last weekend, when we were both off work, I asked her if we could talk. I had prepared our bank statements, our budget spreadsheet, and some notes about our financial goals. I started the conversation by telling Rebecca how much I love her and value our relationship. I explained that while I want to make her happy, the designer bag is simply not in our budget right now. I showed her our financial documents and walked her through our current savings, our monthly expenses, and our goals for the future, including the house we've been saving for and our plans to start a family in the next few years. I thought that seeing the numbers in black and white might help Rebecca understand my perspective. I even suggested that we could start a separate savings fund for luxury purchases if that was important to her, but that it would mean adjusting our other financial goals. Unfortunately, Rebecca didn't take this well at all. She accused me of being financially controlling and said I was trying to keep her down. She brought up how her dad always bought her mom expensive gifts and said I should be trying to provide the same lifestyle for her. I gently reminded her that her parents are in a different financial situation than we are. Her dad has been a successful lawyer for over 30 years, while we're still in the early stages of our careers. I also pointed out that we don't know the details of her parents' financial arrangements and shouldn't compare our situation to theirs. This led to a huge blow-up fight. Rebecca said some really hurtful things, calling me selfish and saying she regrets marrying someone so cheap and boring. She even implied that some of her single friends have offered to buy her nice things and that maybe she should have ended up with one of them instead. That comment really hurt me. I reminded Rebecca of all the experiences we've shared and the life we've built together. I asked her if she really valued a designer bag over our relationship. She just scoffed and said, "At least the bag would make me happy." In the heat of the moment, I snapped back and told Rebecca she was acting like a spoiled brat. I said if material things were so important to her, maybe she should go find a rich sugar daddy instead of a husband. I know I shouldn't have said that, but I was just so frustrated with her attitude. Rebecca stormed out and went to stay with her parents. She's been there for the past week and is refusing to come home unless I agree to buy her the bag. Her mom called me to berate me for being a neglectful husband and said I need to do whatever it takes to make Rebecca happy. I've tried reaching out to Rebecca several times, but she's either ignoring my calls or giving me one-word responses to my texts. I'm starting to feel like I'm the only one fighting for our marriage. This whole situation has made me reflect on our relationship. I've started to notice patterns that I overlooked before, like how Rebecca always expects expensive gifts for every occasion, or how she compares our lifestyle to her wealthier friends. I'm realizing that maybe our values are more different than I thought. I love Rebecca, and we've built a life together over the past 8 years, but I'm starting to wonder if that's enough. Can a relationship survive when two people have such fundamentally different views on money and what's important in life? I'm considering suggesting we try marriage counseling, but I'm not sure Rebecca would agree to it. She seems to think that I'm the only one with a problem. Part of me wonders if it's even worth trying to save this relationship. Am I crazy for thinking about ending a 5-year marriage over a purse? Or is this purse just a symbol of deeper, irreconcilable differences between us? I feel lost and could really use some advice on how to move forward. Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update, and I have some significant news to share. After a lot of soul-searching and some brutally honest conversations, Rebecca and I have decided to separate. The past month has been a roller coaster of emotions. After Rebecca spent 2 weeks at her parents' house, she finally agreed to come home so we could talk. I was hopeful that maybe the time apart had given her some perspective and that we could work things out. However, when Rebecca returned, it became clear that her time away had only reinforced her position. Instead of wanting to work things out, she presented me with a list of demands. She said she would only stay in the marriage if I agreed to. 1. Buy her the Chanel bag immediately. 2. Give her full control over our finances. 3. Increase her monthly fun money allowance to $2,000. 4. Promise to buy her designer gifts for all future occasions. I was shocked by how entitled and unreasonable she was being. It was as if she saw me as nothing more than a wallet to fund her lifestyle. When I refused her demands, explaining again that they were financially irresponsible and went against everything we had planned for our future, she flew into a rage. Rebecca started yelling about how I never support her and how she's sick of living like a pauper when all her friends have nicer things. She even went as far as to say that she feels like she's wasted the best years of her life with me. In the heat of the argument, she started throwing things around the house, including a framed photo from our wedding day, which shattered against the wall. Then, in a move that truly stunned me, she tried to grab my credit cards to go buy the bag herself. That was the moment I knew our marriage was over. The woman in front of me was not the Rebecca I fell in love with in college. She was not the partner I thought I had built a life with over the past 8 years. This person was a stranger to me, selfish, materialistic, and willing to destroy our relationship over a handbag. With a heavy heart, I told Rebecca I wanted a divorce. The look of shock on her face made me realize that she never actually thought I would leave her. She seemed to think that if she pushed hard enough, I would eventually give in to her demands. Rebecca left that night to stay with a friend. We're now in the process of legally separating our assets. It's been a difficult and painful process, especially as we start to untangle our shared life. Dividing up our belongings, closing joint accounts, and informing our friends and family about our separation, it all feels surreal. What's been particularly hard is seeing how Rebecca is portraying our separation to others. She's been telling people that I was financially abusive and that she had to leave for her own well-being. It hurts to hear these lies, but I'm trying to take the high road and not engage in a he said she said battle. My family and close friends have been incredibly supportive throughout this ordeal. They've reminded me of who I am and the values I stand for. Their support has helped me stay strong in my decision, even on the days when I find myself missing the good times Rebecca and I shared. This experience has taught me a lot about myself and what I want in a partner. I've realized that shared values, especially when it comes to money and material possessions, are crucial for a successful relationship. I know now that I need someone who appreciates the simple things in life, someone who values experiences over designer labels. As I navigate this new chapter of my life, I'm focusing on healing and personal growth. I've started therapy to help process everything that's happened and to ensure I don't carry any baggage into future relationships. I'm also rediscovering hobbies and interests that I had let fall by the wayside during my marriage. While I'm still processing the end of my marriage, and there are moments of sadness and doubt, I know I've made the right decision for myself. I deserve to be with someone who values me for who I am, not for what I can buy them. Thank you to everyone who offered support and advice throughout this ordeal. Your words have been a source of strength and clarity during this difficult time. I'm nervous about the future, but I'm also looking forward to the possibility of finding a partner who shares my values and vision for the future.